So now that the peace has finally prevailed, it is time to see as to who won and who actually lost when it comes to the US-Israel versus the Iran war that we have witnessed for over 3 months. So let us discuss more on this. So the news is about the USA and Iran's war which have ended. Why? Because a ceasefire has been agreed, right, on 14th of June 2026. Now this has happened via the mediation by Pakistan and Qatar. So these are the two countries that mediated this peace talk between USA and Iran. The formal signing of this peace deal, however, is going to happen only on 19th of June in Geneva, that is in Switzerland. Now, this conflict that we are talking about, as I mentioned in the beginning, it has lasted for over 3 months. It disrupted the global energy market. We felt the heat here in India as well, right? Now, what are the key features of this agreement? Let us first understand. The very first thing is a permanent cessation of military operations, means permanently. It's not for 10 days, not for 90 days. It is going to be a permanent cessation of military operations. There is going to be reopening of the Strait of Hormuz, which was closed. Who closed it? Iran closed it. Why did it close? Because USA and Israel attacked on it. And then subsequently USA imposed its own blockade as well at Strait of Hormuz. So that Strait of Hormuz will now be reopened, and there will be lifting of US naval blockade as well. The Strait of Hormuz, which was closed by Iran will open it, and the same Strait of Hormuz had a US blockade as well, so USA will remove its blockade as well. Then 60-day negotiation period will be there with respect to what? With respect to Iran's nuclear program, the sanctions which are there on Iran, the primary as well as the secondary sanctions, and the future of US-Iran relationship as well, right? Now let us look at the timeline of the conflict. So this is the day 28th of February 2026 when it all started, wherein a US-Israeli military attack or operation against Iran started on February 28th. The key turning point here was, in the very beginning this actually happened, that is the death of Iran's supreme leader Ayatollah Khamenei, who died in the initial attacks itself. Then you had Ayatollah Mujtaba Khamenei, who became the new supreme leader. When he became the new supreme leader, it was being thought that he may not be that powerful or that difficult to defeat, but then he also stood his ground and basically retaliated with respect against USA and Israel. So then that led to the escalation phase where Iran's retaliation against Israel as well as the Gulf countries. Why Gulf countries? Because the Gulf countries were hosting US military bases. That is why the attack on Gulf country also took place. Subsequently, Iran also closed the Strait of Hormuz. Okay. Now, no one was directly supporting Iran over here. Theoretically, some people were there with Iran. Some people were condemning, a lot of people in fact were condemning the attack of US and Israel on Iran. However, there was one country, there was one organization within that country, basically Lebanon. That Lebanon emerged as a secondary battlefield. Why? Due to the Israel-Hezbollah conflict. So Hezbollah, basically a terrorist organization, actually stood with Iran and started attacking the Israel, as a result of which a new battlefield got created because of Israel-Hezbollah conflict. And because Hezbollah and because Lebanon was involved, Iran was adamant that in any peace talk, Lebanon should be included. Now, what has been the consequences of this USA and Israel's unprovoked attack on Iran? Let us see that. Thousands of people have been killed. Massive infrastructure, as we know, have been destroyed. Production facilities have been destroyed. Global supply chain disruption with respect to crude oil, with respect to LPG, LNG, natural gas, etc. and sharp rise in the oil prices, as well as the fear of inflation basically crippled, sort of tried to cripple the world. Now, Iran, as we saw, actually blocked the Strait of Hormuz. Why? Because it connects the Persian Gulf with the Gulf of Oman and Arabian Sea. It is basically a very important route for global oil trade. Around 20% of oil trade takes place from here. So this is what has happened in this war. So now let us understand as to who all, after knowing all this, let's see who all are the winner and who all are the losers. So if you talk about the winners, it's the global economy which wins in the sense that it don't benefit from this, but the global economy wins with respect to this peace talk as well. And because of this, Pakistan and Qatar emerged as winners as well. Why do you think is the case? That is because Pakistan was a mediator in this peace talk and Qatar was a mediator in this peace talk. So they are now upcoming important mediators who have successfully mediated a very big war altogether. So their diplomacy strengthens over here, right? And positive outcome will be that the Brent crude oil prices will now fall, geopolitical uncertainty will reduce to an extent, investor confidence will increase, restoration of maritime routes is going to take place, as a result of which these are the victories for the world, right? Now, if you talk about the Trump administration and the Gulf states, they have also won. Why? They avoided a prolonged ground war, reduced the domestic pressure from the fuel prices. It was affecting them as well, right? In fact, the other West Asian states or the basically other Gulf states were being attacked. So now that the war stops, it helps them considerably. Okay. However, criticism still remains because there is no concrete guarantee on Iran's nuclear program as of now as to what is going to happen with respect to that. When it comes to Iran, Iran has emerged as both as a winner, as a loser. Why? Why a loser? Because death of their supreme leader, senior military leadership, a lot of high position holding people were, basically were killed in this war, right? They had infrastructure destruction, large civilian casualties, as well as their population got displaced. So these are the things which Iran basically lost, but Iran still emerged as a winner to an extent because the negotiations replaced complete military defeat. They did not militarily completely lost. That is why the negotiations started, right? Possibility of sanctions relief is also now there. There is a potential release of the frozen assets of Iran by US, right? And then they retain the strategic capability of ballistic missile, highly enriched uranium stockpile, and all is still with them. And they have also shown the world that it's not easy to defeat them. So before attacking Iran next time, the countries will think at least twice. Now the major losers, Israel and Lebanon are major losers. Simply because when it comes to Lebanon, please understand, it has had the biggest humanitarian loss. So if you are having the biggest humanitarian loss, huge amount of the civilian population or the population or the people of your country are dying, then there can be no bigger loser than you. That is one thing. Second, Israel. Why? Because its diplomatic influence has diminished. Now it does not have too much of diplomatic influence. Why? Because many countries, in fact the NATO countries stood against Israel. Not just that, you have NATO countries, basically European countries, specifically if you talk about Spain, was also vehemently against Israel, right? Even US, at the end of it, Trump started asking Netanyahu to stop the attack on Lebanon, and Iran stood its ground. So diplomatic influence of Israel is now quite less. People may still pay much heed to them, but not as much as they used to pay previously. Now, what has been the impact of this on India? See, during the war, India got impacted because of the energy security and the crisis therein. But now this is a positive thing for India, because now the energy situation is going to get better and better and better. So the prices may come down, the impact on the inflation will also come down. So we are now very optimistic with respect to it. However, having said that, the situation will not align to the previous 3 months, 4 months before situation immediately. It will take some time, but things from here on for India and for the rest of the world hopefully will keep on improving, and there will be no further hiccups. Hope that it gets signed on 19th of June and subsequently the negotiations takes place properly and peacefully, and it does not come back again. Thank you.